the old courthouse.
Okay, being 8:30, I'd like to call to order the Public Health and Community Service Committee meeting on, what is today, March 28th, 2024 at 8:30. Could I get a roll call, please?
Hendricks, Ness, Shorten,
Here.
Benhoff, Wagner,
Here.
Altoff, Von Bergen.
Here. Next, can I get a motion to approve the minutes as presented for February 29th?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Altoff, Mr. Shorten. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Any public comment? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to member comments.
Just a reminder about tomorrow morning, little Vietnam vet in front. Tom, I am.
Oh, Lou just said she will not be able to make the meeting. Family. Just have a family issue.
Okay.
That's good.
Seeing no other member comments, we'll move on to new business and our interview with Tina Hill. Thank you for joining us. Glad to have you back. Thank you for your previous service. So she is interviewing for Senior Service Grant Commission. So if you could just take a few minutes and tell us about yourself and your interest in the commission.
Okay. Well, as many of you know, I've served on the county board from 2002 to 2016. 2 years of that as chairwoman. It really was the highlight of my career. I love public service. I love local government. I love county government. And then the grants commissions, how fun is that? I mean, you just get to give away money. So for me, it's about giving services to our more vulnerable populations. I'm active now in my local community with recovery with the Friends of the Old Courthouse. And so this is Tina Hill figuring out retirement, which I'm greatly enjoying. But still have time to do something like this. And if you have any questions for me, but to me it's about giving back, figuring out who's in the most need, and reading their profiles and listening to comments from you guys. And, I'm a team player. I don't know if there's anything else specifically you were looking for.
I don't have any questions, just thank you again for continuing your service for the county. I know I don't have any questions on the qualifications because they're certainly there.
I'm delighted. As the appointed chair of senior services, it would be a welcome addition.
Is this filling a position that somebody left? Because I see that it expires in 2026.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's to get a full complement.
There were a few vacancies, but
Yeah, there were.
It would be a wonderful addition.
Thanks, Kevin.
all right, seeing no other questions, why don't we move into deliberation?
I'll make the motion to appoint Tina Hill to the Senior Services Grant Commission to fill a term expiring on October 1st, 2026.
I'll second.
All right, Ms. Altoff and Ms. Wagner.
October 1st, 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes, motion carries. Great. Thank you so much. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'll sit for a minute. Since I came out here.
Yeah, rest up. Yeah.
I won't stay long. I'll enjoy my coffee and listen to the public's business.
Great. So we'll move on to the routine consent agenda. Are there any items anybody would like removed for discussion?
I just have to abstain from 6.3.
I'll make the motion to approve the routine consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
right, so then do I need to remove 6.3 if it's noted that she's abstaining?
You have to remove it?
So she can abstain.
Okay.
Okay, so can I get, so that motion will be for 6, 1, 2, 4, and 5?
Yes.
Okay, can I get a roll call, please?
Wagner,
Yes.
Shorten,
Yes.
Altoff,
Yes.
Von Bergen.
Yes. Okay, so 6.3, can I get
Make a motion to approve 6.3 on the consent agenda.
Second.
And Mr. Shorten seconds, and a roll call for that one, please.
Shorten,
Yes.
Wagner,
Abstain.
Altoff,
Yes.
Von Bergen.
Yes. Wonderful. Okay, so seeing no old business, we'll move on to presentations, and that will be from Hans from the Community Development Office on an energy grant.
Yes.
Welcome, Hans.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Tina. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give you these packets. I'm sorry, I'm going to not make this too long, I think.
This may be the shortest
Clarifier,
meeting
I think.
ever.
This is the one
Thank you.
word
Depends on
right
how
now.
long he talks.
Yeah. He's usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hans, is that the same thing you emailed me?
Yes.
Thank you.
PowerPoint first.
Yes. All right, so I'm talking today. I did not expect to be here this soon. This went very quickly. So I'm here to talk today about the kind of a follow-up to the last meeting. We were talking about the EPA Energy Reduction Grant presentation this morning. So I stayed up all night trying to like figure all this stuff out. No, I'm kidding about that. So for the record, Hans Mock, Community Development Administrator. And this grant is the EPA Environmental and Climate Justice Community Challenge Grant, and it's part of the Inflation Reduction Act. ANOFA was released in December of 2023 with grants, applications due in November. However, we could submit them as soon as like late April. And the grant would be a 3-year grant with no extensions. Like when we say no extensions, there probably are extensions if that ends up happening, but there's no match required of this grant. So it's community, we're talking about like the track on top of that, the community-driven investments for change. And we're looking at multifaceted applications. And what you're gonna see is this is more oriented to be like a community development block grant. And so when you start to see like what the grant can do, it looks a lot like that.
And I'll just note, Hans, on the stuff you passed out, the second page is page 82, should probably be at the end rather than the second page.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
The second page is page 82 from what you were copying from, but
Yeah.
it starts at 74.
Yeah.
So I think it's out of order, that's all.
Oh yeah, no, the reason for that is actually we selected certain things that we wanted to do. So we plucked out like the things that were the projects we wanted to focus in on. And that's why
Okay.
you see like that kind of like
So
difference.
4 comes before 3,
Correct.
and your order of priority.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So we took out things that we thought that, you know, weren't things that we wanted to focus in on. So like I said, it's a lot like CDBG. It's primarily should benefit disadvantaged communities, requires local engagement, looks like Harvard, Woodstock, Marengo zone, the enterprise zone. They start to award grants in April, like next month. There's an interview process involved, which is a lot like CDBG. When you used to apply for it, you come in and you had to present, and it was like, wow, okay, like I'm terrified to come here, like as a nonprofit organization, but and we also have to have 2 nonprofit partners, which I think I have identified some options for that, and I'll talk about that a little bit later when we look through this presentation thing that I gave you. So we use this guy all the time. He's like the guy that like couldn't pay his rent for the ERA program. and we paid for that stock photo, so like we continue to use that. But like, how did we decide what we wanted to do? So that's what I gave you, and I wanted to talk through some of these things and to determine like, you know, how to proceed and why we decided on the things that we wanted to do. So I'm gonna go pretty quick because I don't want to carry on too long. But on the first page, we're talking about green infrastructure and nature-based solutions. So we're talking about planting trees and things like that. Those are actually things we can do under CDBG. We don't normally do like tree planting or whatever, but it's something I think that, you know, we can add to like value to communities to do. Stormwater projects, we work with the Stormwater Division here. What the Stormwater Division has done over the course of time is acquired properties that have created flood hazards and remove those properties in order to ensure that flood hazards don't occur downstream. We've also done projects where we've mitigated like sewer things, hazards and things like that to stop flooding from happening, and like, you know, like Fox River Grove, for example, would be another area where we worked in. Public parks, you know, we always joke about this, like, you know, you buy a piece of land, you put grass in there and you have a park, but it's like creating like areas where people can mill around and enjoy their life, you know. Green schoolyards and that kind of a thing, I think are things that we can look into. Strategy 2 is looking into bikeways, walkways, et cetera. That would be working with our transportation division. Again, partners that could potentially be part of this in the future. So talking about strategy 4 on page 2, we're looking at disposing of potentially hazardous waste. Those are going to be things that we work with maybe the environmental defenders on. So they're a partner of us right now. They get a grant from us that's pretty much an annual grant. And they work to work with attaching people to solar, you know, energy and that kind of a thing, as well as working with the hazardous waste. So if you go to them, for example, you have one of those old TVs that you drop off and they take the parts out. It's one of those kind of things. So going to the third page, which is like all out of order, as Hammond mentioned, we're looking at bikeways, trailways, et cetera. Those are, again, transportation things that we can talk to Scott Hennings about. Going to strategy 3, we actually went to an energy conference a couple of years ago. And this is why conferences are so important, is that we learn a lot of things. And so like heat pumps, those kind of things, to work with people to ensure that, you know, we can work on like the roofs and things like that to ensure that we're reflecting back to the sun. It's going to be like that Raisin Bran sun where he's kind of like smiling, but except he's getting the heat back, that kind of a thing. But actually, some of the other things we can work on is replacing propane tanks with electric heat. And so like what we've seen is some situations where individuals who have been unable to pay their like propane tank refilling, happens like in the winter or whatever, and they come to the housing authority, they may not have the resources available at that time. So to have consistent like costs for their energy would be helpful. So that would be one of the things we're looking at. Going to the next page, which is 75. Looking at microgrids, this would be things where, you know, we may need a resource in kind of a localized area. One of the things that we had talked about years ago was looking at, we had a lot of conversations about expanding Route 23 and then, you know, connecting it to the Interstate 90 down there. And one of the things that they were thinking of is connecting the infrastructure down to, from Marengo to that intersection. And they're going to do that with the state grant now. But looking at like maybe localized energy for that area was one of the other options. Again, looking at strategy 5, we've seen extreme like flooding in areas like in Spring Grove, Fox River Grove, et cetera. Holiday Hills, those are grants that have come to our Community Development Block Grant Commission that we would want to look at as options to mitigate. Going to page 76. Brownfields, we really don't have a lot of that in our community. I think it's in Union and Woodstock, and they've redeveloped some of those areas, so we're gonna probably like not look into those. But going to next page 77, workforce development programs, I think that we can work with our, unfortunately, we were actually had our department meeting the other day where we're gonna look at like the college options and things like that and tour the site, and unfortunately, we were not able to do that. That's something I think that we connect to this program. We have implementing community recycling programs and food waste implementation. I think those are things that we can do. And then going to 78, workforce expertise, connecting to our workforce network would be what we would look at here. You know, high level paying jobs and those kind of things would be things that we would look into. And then disadvantaged communities. So again, this is like the enterprise zone for like Woodstock, Marengo, and Harvard. Looking at those things. So again, we're looking at just trying to move forward, like on getting more details on things. And so this is just kind of like the options that we've selected, not the entire grant that, you know, solar panels and things like that. We have a lot of those kind of projects coming forward to you that we're not looking to do. Looking at, you know, outdoor air quality and things. So putting vegetative barriers in, those are things we can work with our farmers on. Looking to reduce like some, we can offer grants to like local like auto body painters, for example. So I actually lived on a property previously where they were one of those kind of things where it was like a make-do shop, and they would paint cars there, and then they got kind of in trouble for like spraying paint all over the place. So one of those things I think that we can look at like offering, you know, support to those kind of places to like prevent from having the contamination come out of those. So like rebates and things for those kind of things. Clean water, lead lines, lead paint, those kind of things I think are big things. So Michelle from our team is our Lead Safe Homes Program Manager, as well as having our other team members like Joe Davis and Tyler Butler, who have been helpful in like kind of supporting, looking at this grant, are places where that we can like look at supporting overall system resilience. And then energy is efficiency and that kind of thing. So just there's a real lot we can do with this. This is very much like a CDBG grant kind of overview that we're looking at here. And I think that we should continue looking at this and getting more details down as to exactly what out of all of this. I mean, these are the things that we select. There's much more that we could do with it, but it's a lot of like solar panels and that kind of thing that I think that a lot of that has come forward to the county board that we don't probably need to do. So we're looking to like decide whether to move forward with a lot of these projects and bringing team members on. So another example of things we can do is like Senior Care Volunteer Network. Like we can work with them to provide like energy efficient vehicles for their volunteers to use to transport seniors around. There are selected Partner of the Year actually. So on Monday, we'll be granting them the award of Partner of the Year. So we're looking forward to that opportunity, but I think that's something that we can look at as well. So there's a real lot we can do. Grants are, you know, they're expecting grants to be a minimum of like $10 million. I don't think that we'll apply for that much.
How much do you think you will apply for? Do you have an idea in your head?
5 or 6 million.
Okay.
And of course, it's going to be competitive. I think that there are very many compelling communities. They're going to have a lot of disadvantaged people that may, you know, kind of come in with much more. But I think that it's a really great opportunity for us to pursue. We have staff on hand that can do this. Tyler is a student at Drake University who is an environmental science person. So I think that he already knows a lot of like what to research. And then Joe is our person who does a lot of our planning and things like that. So I think between the two of them, they do much more of the research and kind of, you know, compartmentalize things and bring it forward. So it's a lot. It's very much like the CDBG program, I think, and that's why we were very interested in looking forward, to looking into this.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, would you, assuming you ask for 6 million, do you have an idea in your head that you would allocate 2 of that 6 and 4 of that 6 to specific strategies here, or you're just gonna take the 6 and then kind of scattershot it?
No, I think it's going to be more of like allocating part of it out to, organizations and municipalities to like carry on the activities. So very much like CDBG.
Okay.
There would be administrative funds to allow for us to manage the program, and that's one of the most important things we have to look at is do we have that? I like the fact that we don't have the match requirement. That is something that kind of, for a $6 million grant, it's a lot of money.
And the only other, my last question is, I know, and I would agree that the triangle that you kind of designated in the presentation, but are there other census tracts in McHenry County that could potentially take advantage if we go forward with this?
Yes, so like in McHenry and Crystal Lake, there are areas that.
Oh, wait, McHenry? I was just.
So yeah, there are areas, and I didn't put the map up on the screen or whatnot, but like our county is like a triangle, or sorry, rectangle. Don't remember geometry anymore, but anyway, but it was like the sort of the triangle of the communities. But then there was like McHenry and Crystal Lake that had areas that would benefit as well. And I don't think it's limited to that. So when we're looking at things like the Senior Care Volunteer Network and assisting them, that's assisting seniors with getting from point A to point B and back.
Which is a big issue for many
Yes.
areas.
So yeah, we have double the number
Richmond,
of seniors
yeah.
that we had, like 55 and older. I don't want to say seniors, older adults, because I'm almost there. Double the number from 1990 to now in the census. So that's a lot of people that are going to be needing assistance.
So you said Holiday Hills. So Holiday Hills, the Water Reclamation District could apply for a grant to help them with the sewer
Yes.
installation.
Yes, so there's those kind of things to prevent the flooding and whatnot. So we could attach that to our application. And that's one of the things I think that has come to like, another example was like generators. We just had that at CDBG, and those are the kind of things that we can bring all these kind of missing pieces into this grant application. It's gonna require some research and time for our staff to like pull all that together. But I think we can do that and come up with a very good application, involving municipal, nonprofits, et cetera. But we do need at least 2 nonprofit providers, and we think we already have that. So
it's required that we give the money to at least 2 nonprofit providers. Is that what you mean?
that's correct. That's correct.
And so but it has to be only nonprofit or municipalities, no for-profit?
It's so not like CDBG where we could do that. Obviously, they would be involved in terms of like contractors. So when we procure, it would be like for-profit organizations.
Okay.
So companies, I should say.
Are you looking for a consensus to go forward? I think you've gotten that.
Yeah. It's a great
That's what I'm
opportunity.
looking for.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I think,
all right,
yeah.
I'll curtsy.
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Reports, workforce housing.
Lou? Oh, wait, she's not here.
It's not here.
I will tell you, we're very close to, I think, coming up with a working draft, which we would like to then present to the chairman and then bring back to public health. We are really trying to do it for May, but our backup is, or for April, but our backup is, if we can't, we'll bring it forward in May. With some, I think the exciting part is you're going to get a lot of information, a lot of data, but you're also going to get some recommendations on where we need to go and how we need to expand that group. So you guys will have some time to digest and make comments and provide input if you think we need to rearrange or provide additional. But I'm very excited. It really is, I think, going to be a nice visual as well as important substantive data for you to digest.
Any questions? Thank you
Did I
for the
cover most
update.
of it?
You covered it all.
Wonderful.
You would say that anyway, because you don't want to say anything about it.
Only if there's a whiteboard.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that.
It's, again, I thought I knew a lot. I was amazed at how much more information I
Yeah.
learned. And I'm excited to share it and then go into the next iteration that's, I think, much more work-related, doing as opposed to just researching.
Yeah.
I would tell you that's kind of sort of the difference, so I think it'll be exciting.
You know, actually, we'll add one somewhat related on Taylor Street apartment grand opening will be coming up.
Yes, very,
And keep in mind, that is part parcel to exactly what we're talking about. And we actually had a developer, Richard Koenig, as one of our presenters early on. And it was eye-opening, the challenges that affordable housing, workforce housing developers have to go through.
Yeah.
So we're going to touch a little bit about on that in the report, but you know, hopefully you can all attend the groundbreaking Advanced McHenry County funded part of that project, but it's right in line with what we're doing. So I'm really excited to see kind of those confluence of those two topics.
On my calendar.
Hey, Hans.
Yes.
Scott referenced the groundbreaking that's going to be ceremonial groundbreaking
Yes.
on Monday. We're going to do some other awards there. Can you tell the group what we're going to do?
Yes, yeah,
Oh.
yes,
Yeah.
of course. So our other partner of the year.
I
award is gonna
didn't
be-
give you a prep, but I know you can handle this.
So yeah, no, I can handle it. Senior Care Volunteer Network is our partner of the year. So it's our first Senior Services Grant Commission awardee that will be our partner of the year. We did mention that during the presentation that we felt as though they could be a partner involved in like, hybrid or low emission vehicles as part of their volunteer thing. So I think they said they drove 110,000 miles last year, some wing on that number.
Yeah.
That a lot of these volunteers actually don't request the payment back or anything like that. So it's a really great resource for us to use and to have people get to their appointments. That somebody gets up at probably 4 o'clock in the morning at sometimes, drives somebody to like the super early kidney appointment or whatever, and again, a great resource. The other thing is our Taylor Place Apartments will have our Congressman Foster will be there to will give us kind of a resolution from the federal government as well. We're very excited about that. We've invited HUD out to come out if they can make it. But the Taylor Place Apartments has been something where a lot of resources have been put in. So it's county ARPA, home ARP, home regular funds, and treasury funds have all been put into this project. It's a really great program that is really workforce housing oriented, and so we're working on this committee, to make sure that we achieve those goals.
I'm just, so you know, Congressman Foster did mention when we were in DC that he is also investigating opportunities that once the affordable housing project is started, another kind of grant program that assists in the development around those housing things to bring in grocery stores, et cetera. So I just share that in the event that you get to talk to him, you'll know what he's working on. Legislators like that.
Yes. And so it's really good with Community Development Week to bring our congressional officials in. Our program it's 50 years old, Community Development Block Grant Program, and they really need to bring it forward. And we've had, Lou Ness will even tell you, she's like, you get the same allocation you got in the 90s when I started working in this program. Well, you know what, we need to move it forward, and this is one of the things that they need to see. And I think visuals are going to be what is important for the program. So.
I appreciate you brainstorming about how we could do a little bit more than just do the groundbreaking, and I think it'll be a little bit more substantive event. It is Community Development Week. They aren't actually starting construction for a few more weeks, but we thought we'd just get it all done.
Right, you got to get the shovels out and, show people where it is. There's an historic building attached to it, which I think is really cool. So this is going to win a Community Development Award. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be our second one. It's like a Grammy. My second Grammy.
I
Got
think
one in my office right now.
Yeah, I think it's extraordinarily nice that they attempted to make that historic structure part of the development and save it and preserve it. I mean, that's a big, it's cost. I mean, and they chose to do it anyway, which I think is nice.
And it's gonna
I
look
believe
like,
Mayor Jett is out of town, but I have worked with the city administrator, and I think there's gonna be a few McHenry City Council members present as well.
Yeah, the ward people will be there.
or as my grandfather-in-law used to say, dignitaries. We're gonna bring them all in, so.
Great, well, thank you for that. And moving on to future topics, I know we have a list going, but I think at the top of that list should probably be trying to get the mental health board in here to maybe give us I know we talked about a report
Right.
going forward, but you know, with the passage of the sales tax.
I spoke yesterday with Carolyn Schofield, your liaison to the mental health board, and she and I have kind of noodled out a little bit of a path, and I need to speak with Leo about that, so I'll be talking with Leo. But I think we're sort of imagining, or the mental health board is sort of imagining 4 check-ins a year with the county board, 3 at this committee quarterly, and then kind of a full presentation to the county board at a committee of the whole. That having been said, while I haven't confirmed this with Leonetta, and I want to defer to her on this, but I was sort of imagining maybe a May or June mental health presentation at the committee of the whole, kind of in some ways resetting everything, you know, they still have their foundational purposes, but the revenues have changed, and how is that going to impact them, and what, you know, there is going to be, you know, a need to kind of set some new understandings on fund reserve and capital planning and services and all those sorts of things, and I think that kind of a discussion with the full county board would be helpful in May or June ahead of the budget process.
I would just ask when you do that you invite, it's not just the executive director, but whoever the board president is. I mean, I think that's an important correlation that we need to see as well. I mean, technically, they're the ones we appoint, you know. Just,
County machine is quite available.
yeah, and issues.
So, that's my plan.
That sounds like a great plan, yeah.
Thank you. That's a good plan.
All right, anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
All right.
I'll second.
All those in